We are the average of the people we hang out with. I am Matthieu Stefani, serial entrepreneur and co-founder of Cosa Vostra, a tech and creative consulting agency. With Génération Do-It-Yourself, I offer you talks with entrepreneurs, sportsmen or artists who will literally make our average explode. What were the things you were teaching back then that remains and I mean for entrepreneurship? I mean, if you had 3, 4, 5, 10 like pillars, that you would have to tell me, what would they be that remains good, and are there some that are not good anymore, that are not true anymore?
So I taught entrepreneurship for about 4 years. And it was really a how-to kind of class. It was, I expected the students, the class was maybe, 40 students in the class. I expected them to be really engaged around an idea that they were, if they weren't going to actually start it, they were going to at least pretend while they were taking my class that they were going to start this idea. And they would work in teams. They would develop the business plan throughout the course, and they would present the business plan to a group of entrepreneurs and investors at the end, and there would be a competition to see which idea had gotten the furthest. And so the how-to included what makes for a good idea. That was the number one thing. How do you decide what to do? You might have 2 or 3 different ideas. How do you figure out which is the best one for you? Another element of is how do you get started? Like once you have selected the idea, what do you do next? And I really pushed people to think about if you have to create a prototype. You have to be making it real. You can't just be talking about it. You have to make something, whether it's software or hardware or it's a service. You have to create it and actually start putting it in the hands of customers, letting the world experience your idea. That's how you learn the most about whether it's a good idea or not. You can't just talk about it. You have to do it. And so do it at a small scale, do it rough, do it, all sorts of reasons why it won't actually be the thing you eventually do, but you won't get far if you don't actually stop talking and start doing. And then
fake it until you make it somehow, but at least
exactly.
fake it.
You have to do it. You cannot just sit and talk. You have to do something. And then maybe the third part is, okay, so what is the role of venture capital and investment in the idea? The 90s really screwed up a lot of people's mindset, which is have an idea, go raise money. That's broken. Have an idea, go raise money was possible when there's lots of capital and everyone's chasing after ideas because they're afraid they're going to miss the opportunity. And that's what happened in the 90s, 97, 98, 99, led to the crash in 2000, was too much money was chasing the ideas on the napkin. And instead,
which was kind of the case recently.
Yeah, this has happened. History repeats itself. Okay. We know that. we know that. Yes, it happened again. But that what you have to instead think about is like your customer is the investor telling you it's a good idea isn't nearly as important as the customer telling you that what you have built is worth paying for. So if you listen to your investors, either they'll tell you it's a bad idea and they're wrong, or they'll tell you it's a good idea, they could be wrong too. But if you listen to your customers, if a customer says that I like this, I would buy this, or they say I don't want it, here's why it doesn't work for me, that's where you have to focus. So what's the role of the investor versus the customer in helping you get to the right product, the right service that you're trying to offer? So those are some of the things that I really tried to, teach. And I liked that for a while. I really enjoyed giving, my experiences could go directly into the content. It was good for a few years.
I think it's interesting to have, because at this moment we have a lot of creators or influencers or people that are giving masterclasses about entrepreneurship. And I think it's interesting to mix the two worlds of academic, which is useful at the end of the day. You can't just skip things, you know, you have to go through, I believe, I mean, you won't say, maybe you would say the contrary, but you have to go through some basic knowledge. And as you say, history repeats itself. And so if you know kind of a bit of history, you will understand things that are going to happen again. And still, you have to get some people who have had or have some skin in the game, right? And that's what I'm thinking about right now, and trying to maybe probably work on a master class with a business school that is going to be a mix-up in between people who have skin in the game and people who are out of the game. You were both at the same time, which is interesting. At a critical time. Actually.
It's. I mean, I also tried to bring what I had experienced into my research. Not as successfully. You know, I think I started to lose the focus. Partly because having the experience of starting a company, it was very exciting. I felt really like productive. The work I did, I could see the results right away. And then when I went back to doing research, I found that things felt really slow. It was like I was going in the slow lane compared to what it was like starting a company. And that's maybe another aspect. You know, if you're going to teach a masterclass, maybe also what is it like? Entrepreneurship itself as a lifestyle, it can really screw with your brain. You can get delusional. You can get not everything is solved with money and people and work. Rushing at something and chasing something. If you can't approach your relationships the way you approach a startup idea, you can't approach how you spend your day with taking care of your body, taking care of your mind. You can't approach it the same way you approach starting a company. We used to talk about having the startup, like it's on your brain all the time. It's always on. And if that's the way you live your life, well, then you're not present with your kids. You're not present with your spouse. You're not actually there for your friends. So you have to find a way to sort of create the separation of you are not your startup. Your identity is not the company. You are your own self. You can remember who you are every day.
I believe the fact that you talk about it right now and now almost in the mid 2020s, right?
Yeah.
All of what you're saying, I mean, we're kind of mature about that. We've been extreme on all of these. Right before we recorded, we talked about Iron Man and we were saying, like, I was saying, I mean, most of my Iron Man friends are divorced, right? And both men and women actually, and so if you push too hard on things, I mean, it's not going to work. Sometimes it works. I mean, it's true that some entrepreneurs that have been pushing very hard on, like in Uber or a lot of areas, they worked out. I mean, I don't know for themselves, but at the end of the day, the company did work. But I believe like not most, but a lot of Strava users are entrepreneurs or the core, a bit of the core people, and probably they take care of themselves. And the more it goes, I believe I take a good care of my family. I'm still obsessed with my entrepreneur life, and I'm still taking care of myself. So, my inside, how do you say, stretches, you would say, or are that I'm maybe not as good as I want in each of them, right? Yeah. And I'm trying to be in peace with that. Yeah. That's probably, but I think we're getting there. I mean, in the way we talk to people, in the way people, I mean, entrepreneurs kind of trying to get there now. Don't you feel that?
Yeah, it's. I wonder. There's like where I'm now in my third decade of being an entrepreneur, right? So maybe I've getting older. You start to have more perspective. So I don't know that it's. I would say that it's so much that all entrepreneurs are learning this. It's more like something you learn as you do this more and more. Like what's what's the place, what's driving you? Is it all, always to create something new, the next thing, the term serial entrepreneur, I don't like that term because it sort of implies you're always going to go to the next thing instead of saying, well, maybe you can create something that's worth staying with. And Strava was, in fact, I see you've been building your startup as thriving, and do you want to leave it and start something again? Do you want to? When Mark and I started Strava, we were like, well, if it's a good idea, wouldn't we want to keep working on it? Maybe it will take 20 years, and in fact now it's in its 14th year, and we're still working at it. We're still trying to make it great. So it's a little bit less about like moving on to the next thing, which I think was the mindset we had when we were in our 20s and 30s. Like you got to go to the next thing and the next thing. Now it's more, can we build something that's sustainable, that is going to withstand the test of time, the 100-year brand? It will outlive us if we do it right.